Hey y'all, welcome back. This is Missy. Thanks for joining me again for another process video. This one is for the cut shop and I'm using a couple of different cut files. I'm using some pictures from a recent trip to Las Vegas that my husband and I took back in December, and they're square shaped, and I'm going to try to use 3 of them on this layout. And the pictures are of us at the High Roller. I don't know if you've ever been to Vegas or seen the High Roller, but it's this giant Ferris wheel, and the pictures are at night, so they're kind of dark, and I'll explain more about that as we go. I covered my cardstock in clear gesso, and I feel like I'm doing the same thing on all of my layouts lately, but I just love this technique. And this is what I call one of my from scratch layouts, where I just start with white cardstock and create it, from scratch. So that's what I'm doing. I'm taking my gelatos in some different pink shades and just adding some color to the background. I'm going to use that, it's called Right on Target cut file. It's the big circle with all the cutouts in it because it reminds me of that Ferris wheel that my pictures are about. And so I cut it in white cardstock, and I didn't want it to be completely white on white, so I wanted to pull some of that pink in that is in one of the pictures, because at night this Ferris wheel lights up different colors, and the picture that I got while we were up at the highest point, it looks like a pink color, so that's why I'm adding that to the background there. I wanted to add a little bit of different tints, so I did add a little bit of purple there, and I like the way that's looking. It's not too bright, but it matches the photo, and it looks pretty good with the white cut file on top of it. So now I'm just going in with my very messy watercolors and adding a little bit of a purple shade, and it just makes the pink look a little bit two-toned, I guess you could say. It's not full-on purple, but it does give a couple more shades there. Adding some splatters, and at this point I'm still just kind of randomly adding some color, not really caring that it's going all over the page. I just wanted to get some artsy looking, not shapes, because it's not really a shape, just some messy splatters and smudges. Smudges, that's a really professional term, right? Anyway, I wanted to add some color to my big Ferris wheel cutout here. Well, that's what I'm calling it. And I want to do some more of that foiling technique that's becoming really popular. And I did get my hands on some of the glue there, so I'm just squirting some on my finger and kind of messily dabbing it on there. And I didn't want to color the whole thing silver, but I did want some shiny. When I'm making a page about Las Vegas, I gotta have some sparkle on there because it's all lights and sparkly glitter everywhere. So I wanted it kind of messy and not really rusty looking, but kind of just random splotches of shiny. So I had to do this a couple of times because I was just using my finger, and I was kind of just putting some here, some there, and I just kept doing this process over and over until I got the result that I wanted. And I just use a popsicle stick to kind of smear, or not smear, but push down and adhere some of that silver there. So I did that about 3 or 4 times until I got that metal look. I guess that's the look I was going for. Since it's a big Ferris wheel, I wanted it to look kind of like metal. So I wanted to jazz up the background a little bit, so I cut a couple of pieces off the side and the top, and I pulled out this sheet. I think it's Recollections from Michaels. I think I got this when they had their buy 5 for $1. I just sometimes buy random paper that's not part of any collection that I use for something like this. So I backed it, and then I stitched around the edges there with some silver thread. And I think I'm going to add some black color shine. Took me a long time to get that lid off. It's a good thing I work out because I could not get the lid off. So I had to actually exert force to get that thing open, but I did. I'm not going to have a meltdown this time over the vellum. Thank goodness for that. I wanted to back the photos with something, but not anything that was going to distract from the pictures, because I am using 3 and they are kind of busy and dark. So at this point, I didn't really know what color or what pattern I would even use to back them. So I just pulled out the vellum, which I've been doing that a lot lately. And it's really good. I like it because it's subtle, but yet it gives it some height and some depth, and it gives it a little bit of interest without being distracting, because it's clear. Well, not clear, but frosted, I guess you could say. So it adds something without being too much, and I just kind of fold it and adhere it. So I'm using this Las Vegas tag. This is another cut file from Ashley's store, and I've been wanting to use it since she got it in the store. And so I finally am doing it this time. And I'm taking some of that Tim Holtz Black Soot Distress ink and just kind of giving it a gray look. And I wanted the star part of it to be sparkly silver. So I'm pulling out some of my Mind's Eye silver glitter tape, and I just pulled some little strips off and kept sticking them on the heart, or not the heart, the star, until it was completely covered. And then I'll just wind up taking my little cutter bee scissors there and trimming it. And you can kind of see the layers from the tape strips, but it's not that noticeable, and it didn't really bother me that much. Now my quandary is, where am I going to put this tag with these 3 pictures? This is just a very different design for me. I didn't want to cover up that big circle, so I wanted that to be my, main focal point there. I also cut out the word sightseeing. That's one of her newer cut files, so I'm using 3 different cut files here. I wanted to back the tag with something, but again, not something that was so busy that it would take away from everything. So pull out the vellum again and just give it a little bit of a backing there, so it won't be completely empty. And I toy around with the space, like where am I going to put it? I wasn't even quite sure at this point where all my pictures were going to go. I liked the fact that the star wasn't glued down, so I can kind of overlap it on one of the photos, and that's what I wind up doing. So that picture there that the tag is on is of the high roller from afar. You can see it there in the distance there, and then the other 2 pictures are of us in that thing. It goes up 550 feet in the air, and you can really see the city and the lights. It's very, very cool. It moves very slow, so... And it's enclosed. You're not outside or anything, so it's pretty neat. So this is how I'm going to situate my pictures, 1 on the top, 2 on the bottom, and I'm going to overlap the tag just like you see it there. And I needed some more sparkle, so I pulled out some very, very sticky silver glitter thickers, and my title is going to be Adventures in Sin City. And I'm going to leave that there after I get that all stuck down. And now I'm going to just add some stamps. I think I got this stamp set at Walmart a year or so ago. It was very cheap. I couldn't pass it up. I love stamps. So I'm going to type. I can't even get my brain working right today. I'm going to stamp Adventures in, and it's kind of crooked. I can't ever stamp straight, even though I drew a line, but I don't care. I think it winds up looking okay. So, and I was praying that I did not spell it wrong, because I'm going backwards. And sometimes I like to go backwards and start with the last letter, because then I know exactly how much space I've got. So I'm going to try to erase my pencil line there. And thank goodness I didn't smudge my ink. It dried pretty quick, so that was good. I'm going to add sightseeing down here at the bottom and add a little bit more pink touches with some thread. I'm just going to tuck that under there. It's kind of hard to scrap dark pictures like this for me. I didn't want to make them black and white because I wanted the color to show, because of all the lights in the picture of us together. You can see all the hotels and everything lit up, and I wanted the pictures to be in color. So I just did the best I could to kind of edit them and lighten them up a little bit, and I think they turned out okay. I'm adding some pop dots behind the top of that tag there, and I did add some flare buttons from A Flare for Buttons, which has some very awesome flare. If you want to get some flare, it's a great Etsy store to check out. There's so much to choose from. so awesome. Let's see. I just used my black pen to dot over the eyes there because I did not feel like poking out the 2 little dots from my black cardstock because they're so little. So I'm going to add some more glue there and just finish adhering my target there. I really like how that foil turned out. That stuff is really neat. So I just trim the edges off there. So far so good. I'm liking the way this is looking. Do add a little bit more of the pink thread. I like the amount of sparkle and silver that I've got going on with the thickers, the foil, and the glitter tape. Not too much, but still enough. And it's all over the page. Oh, I did add a little bit of cord through the top of that tag. I was going to try to go through my stash and find some silver ribbon, but I could not find any, so I just used my cord. Oh, nice head. Good grief. Getting a haircut on Thursday. Thank goodness. Adding some stamps. Oh, get your head out of the way. I just wanted to make sure the stamps were straight, so sometimes you got to get up and over your layout there. So some arrows. I love arrow stamps and heart stamps. Things that just show direction and pointing to words or pointing to pictures. And now I'm going to use some numbers to add the date. And those are from, I believe, Ellie's Studio, however you say it. And they're from their latest Christmas line. I've had them for a couple months. And these are some jelly bean soup circle stamps. And I like that you can use those just about on any layout whatsoever because they're all pretty generic as far as their sayings. More arrows. And I had to take that flare button up because I could not get my stamping block to go down with it there. So I pulled it up a couple times actually. Adding a little bit more black splatters here and there. And I think I'm getting close. Oh, no, I'm not. I decided to add more. What else is new? I always add more. That's a basic gray from the previous layout. One of the previous layouts I made. I used the basic gray prism collection, and this is the little alpha sheet from it. It takes forever to get those little tiny letters off, but I like the way they look. I wanted to add high roller, and so I added it to some vellum and tore it off. Not quite sure where to put it. I decided to put it underneath Sin City there. And something that I do after I took my final pictures is I went back and did some more stitching, and so I don't even know if that's on my final picture coming up, but I did add some stitching through some parts here, but it's not a huge design element that you're going to miss seeing. So I added my journaling there, and that's going to wrap it up. Here come my final photos. I think it turned out pretty cool. I like the pinks and the silvers. I like the cut files, and you can find all these cut files in the Etsy store. You can check out thecutshop.blogspot.com for lots more ideas on how to use cut files. And I appreciate you guys watching. Thank you so much for all your comments, and I will see you next time. Have a good day. Bye.